Hi there, my name is Pat Mills, and this is my pest analysis of my mock company, Lighthouse Rentals, LLC, your guiding light to quality rentals. So pest analysis, my political factor that I chose to investigate would be changes to North Carolina real estate law from elections or the implementation of new local, state, and federal law. The opportunity this could provide would be less regulations in licensing required to be a homeowner as well as a landlord, less regulations in building codes required for leasing a property, less regulation in insurance required to own and lease a property, less regulation in the ability to build a new construction with the intent to use it as a rental property. Could potentially lower taxes associated with revenue earned while leasing a property. So obviously, this could provide opportunity to where, you don't have to, if you wanted to build a new property, there would be less regulation associated with that. There could be less taxes associated with profits and profits earned from leasing these properties out. Less regulation in insurance could cause less cost to ownership, which would ultimately cause profits to go up. The threats, this could increase regulation. So it's kind of twofold, required to be a homeowner as well as a landlord. New laws could impose stricter taxes and insurance requirements for landlords that own and lease properties. So new law could influence the amount of continuing education required to have a current real estate license as well. So I wrote in there that because I'd like to acquire my own real estate license so I can do in-house closings. As I mentioned in my SWOT analysis, if there's a lot more classroom time associated with getting a real estate license, obviously that could negatively impact the business. And trying to do this twofold as a parallel career, obviously that could cause some threats to the business and to both careers. So that was kind of my political factors, all those things. I mean, there's several options and many things that based on new local, state, and federal law that could influence a business and how that might affect your profits and provide opportunity as well as a threat there. So economic factors, significant decrease in the amount of college students at a university due to economic hardship or downturn in the real estate market. So the opportunity that could provide a downturn in the real estate market could make it easier to purchase properties with the intent to lease because of lower prices. Less college students could provide a venue for a more specialized demographic, appealing to those who could still afford to go to school and would actually provide a niche for a higher class rental property leasing option. So what I meant by that, the opportunity, obviously, the real estate market took a downturn in 2005, 2006. A downturn in the real estate market could make it easier to purchase properties with the intent to lease them because if you're riding that wave right, obviously a lot of people, back in 2005, 2006, 2007, lost a lot of money on properties that they had bought, and then the value decreased by hundreds of thousands of dollars. They couldn't pay the mortgage, etc. Obviously, that's a bad deal, but the opportunity end of it is, if you're getting into the market and you're riding that wave correctly, you can purchase a property at a much lower price and be able to obtain more properties than maybe you would have been in the past when the market is down. Less college students could provide a venue for more specialized demographic. Put that in there. If less college students did come, then obviously a higher class earning type of family might be the only demographic that's actually going to college. So that could give if you're a mom and pop business, that could give you the opportunity to provide a niche market as a leasing option. Maybe provide a higher quality home to this higher class that could actually increase your profits a little bit there if you were able to find yourself a niche with that trend. I would say threats, a decrease, and this is probably the more likely causation here, but a decrease in the amount of college students would cause a significant decline in demand for rental properties. This would ultimately drive the price per month down for properties that ownership is trying to lease. Obviously, this would negatively affect profits to ownership, and a downturn in the real estate market would cause a significant decrease to the value of properties considered assets to the company. This could cause financial problems in the event that ownership had to sell the property at a decreased value from the purchase price and the originally obtained mortgage. So the more likely cause, or the more likely of the two really would be the threat. Decrease in the amount of college students would provide significantly lower demand, which would obviously drive the price per month down, and which, if you're anticipating on making a certain amount of profits to be able to pay the mortgage on, a leveraged property, then that's definitely a very bad thing. And then if that did happen, it's kind of twofold. A downturn in the real estate market could cause the value of the property that you actually own to decrease. So if you're riding that wave in a negative aspect, you might have to sell a property at a decreased value or prematurely before you wanted to, just based on a downturn in the business. So those are my economic factors. Sociocultural, said the factor would be students choosing to live on campus rather than opting for the freedom of off-campus living. If there were maybe a social trend towards a preference for students to live on campus to utilize all their resources and get the most out of their education. I actually heard this argument when I was in undergrad, from a professor who said, if you go off campus, all you're going to do is party, and, you're not going to focus on your education. You need to be close to the central hub of campus. You need to be close to the library, to the social events going on, to all those things that are kind of central to the nucleus of campus in order to maximize your education. So if there were a trend for that, or maybe in the news media there's some horror stories of things going on off campus at certain colleges, or maybe a location where you are, that could cause people to not want to opt for off-campus housing, which obviously would turn a downturn into the business. But the opportunity side of it, in a positive light, if this social trend were to come to fruition, it could cause several rental property owners/companies to close their doors because they are over-leveraged or have overestimated on the profits in upcoming years. So I really meant that for, if you're a large management company, you have hundreds of rooms, you're trying to lease out. Obviously, if they can't lease all those rooms, then they're going to take a loss on the property. They're going to take a loss on, whatever debts that they have on that property. They're obviously not going to have that income coming in to be able to, put that towards that debt and continue their business running like they've anticipated. This could provide the opportunity for a smaller company like Lighthouse Rentals to acquire a more significant market share. So maybe, hey, if you have a house close to campus, you're not in one of these big complexes, and the trend is, hey, these big complexes, there's bad things going on, you can't focus on your studies. Well, if you had a smaller house that was close to campus, maybe that could be your niche market, could give you more of a market share if this were to become a trend, because you could control who your neighbors are, control who your roommates are. That could kind of provide you an opportunity for a little market share there if this were to become a trend. The threats to actualization of this trend would likely cause a decrease in demand for student rental properties that would negatively affect the ability of ownership to keep properties leased throughout the year. This would negatively affect the revenue of the business and could cause ownership to prematurely sell properties based on an inability to pay the monthly mortgage requirement. So, obviously, if there was a trend that students, the more likely outcome is that if students were to, say, hey, we're all going to live on campus, that's where it's at, that's where you want to get your, your education, that's the only way to maximize your education. Obviously, if you're trying to lease off-campus housing, this would be a very bad thing for your business. So that was my socio-cultural factors, hypothetical a little bit there, but, probably a real thing if some things were to happen, in the community that you did own a house, with off-campus living as students, and that could obviously cause a problem for you there. Technological, I said the fact of emerging new technology that could automate the rental property used by bigger property management firms and could significantly lower their costs, making a mom-and-pop operation too expensive and ultimately obsolete. So I was kind of detailed in that and kind of dove into the threats part of it there, but I would say the opportunity of these new technologies would be if these new technologies were relatively inexpensive, ownership would be able to benefit from using such technologies and be able to stay competitive in the changing student rental market. So if you're a mom and pop business, if it somehow eliminates a middleman or eliminates the need for somebody to be at a physical office to collect rent or sign leases, if you could automate that process and make it completely digital, obviously that could save you some money if those technologies were affordable by mom and pop business. At the same thing, if the on the threat end of it, it's kind of twofold. If these new technologies are not financially feasible for ownership to use, it could cause the company operation to become less competitive in the market shared with larger property management companies. So larger companies, if they have the benefits of these technologies, they're cutting costs, they're offering more features, they're able to do they're able to build a pool, offer some things that you can't offer because they're able to cut costs with these new technologies. Well, if those new technologies aren't reachable for within your financial capabilities, being a mom and pop business, and obviously that can cause you some problems there. But that's that's my overview, my broad PEST analysis, Lighthouse Rentals, of some factors that could affect the business, moving forward in the future. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.